Good afternoon. I'm told that the previous shift was the graveyard shift. I'm hoping this is the resurrection shift. Thank you so much, Scarlett, and the Institute for inviting me to be the keynote speaker. It's an honor and a privilege to share my story. When Scarlett initially invited me, she told me about the theme, collective action. And I wanted to reflect on my journey and how my individual story is very relevant to what we are here to try and accomplish today. So upon reflection, collective action starts with the individual, with a sense of morality, integrity, and most importantly, the bravery to act. That has been my journey. I was the CEO of Trillian Financial Advisory. And if I can those people who are not familiar with state capture, we had 3 Indian brothers who had, I think, unlawfully obtained contracts in state-owned companies through their proximity to the president, the former president and his son. And you find, if I can take you back, they had privileges like the Waterkloof landing for a wedding. And ministers were being fired every midnight, if you all remember that, because now in hindsight, we see that those ministers were fired because they would not kiss the ring and bow to the Gupta's requirements. I found myself having a VIP seat at Trillian. Trillian was a Black-owned company that was essentially giving public sector financial advice. Our major shareholder was Salim Issa. He was the 4th lieutenant, the Gupta brother. And it was I would say, a branch out from Regiment's Capital, who were also a Black-owned company. It had 3 shareholders, specifically looking at financial solutions for public sector clients. So I found myself in a wonderful position, earning 2.3 million rand, 500,000 rand sign-on bonus, and my 9 months of being there, 800,000 rand. But I could see something. We at Trillian, my boss and his Lieutenant Salim Issa, we had unlimited access to the boardrooms of Eskom. We had meetings with the likes of Anuj Singh, the CFOs, Brian Molefe. We had unlimited access to the board members, chairpeople, and we had no contract with a single state-owned company. I was promoted to CEO on the 1st of March, 2016. And by then, I could see the red flags. If you remember, the reason why I'm called the Nenegate whistleblower is because we are traumatized as a nation. We won on the 9th of December, 2015. The president fired Nhlanhla, and he replaced him with some backbencher at Parliament. And the rand crashed. Stock markets plummeted. Bond yields exploded. I knew this 6 weeks before then. I was told by Eric Wood that the president is going to fire Nene because he's refusing to sign the Putin nuclear deal and Dudu Moyeni's SAA aircraft deal. Cynthia, thank you. So I didn't understand the significance of this, but what was more troubling was that an associate of mine was going to be the advisor to the new minister. This minister, this is according to Eric, will be more pliable. He will approve all these deals. And this advisor will be Trillian aligned. And he will channel all the information to Trillian so that we have inside information so that we can get all the contracts. That was the plan. Luckily, because of the catastrophe of the markets, On Sunday, Praveen Gordhan was replaced he replaced the weekend special. And now, when I got to Trillian, already I could sense that some of the board members, the CEOs of Transnet, Eskom, were in cahoots with Trillian executives. We were working with McKinsey, and McKinsey was I would say, it gave Trillian and Regiment an international gravitas. You know, when you have an international house and then you have a BEE company, that's doing some of the work. So you give your proposal a more, it's from America, they're from Massachusetts. This is, international standard. It's not just an office in Illovo with 50 people. So I found myself seeing how Eskom, we had no Eskom contract at Trillian. I saw invoices being sent without a contract and without work being done to the tune of 795 million. McKinsey, also no contract, R1 billion. Regiments as well. They had this business development strategy where they used Salim Essa as a business development partner, and he opened the doors to the ministers, to the departments. Billions of rands were looted. I had to act. I left my 2.3 million rand salary, and I said, I cannot allow South Africa. We have a hard-won democracy. Just 30 years later, the same people who gave us this democracy are actually saying it's our time to eat. And they are taking our state, our raw jewels, SAA, our national carrier, Eskom, our utility, it's a monopoly, Transnet, Freight Rail. Right now, many companies are complaining that because of the rail infrastructure, they are not transporting goods. It's affecting our economy. So I decided to leave with nothing. And then I decided, because there's a wonderful clause in our constitution. It's called the Chapter 9 institution. One of them is a public protector. So upon getting legal advice, I went to Tulima Donsel. But before then, I want you to see me as an individual, as a mere mortal. And those who have my book, can you please go to page 93? Let's incentivize those who don't have my book. So page 93. Ooh. I knew that I was connected with what was going back home. I was in Egypt, just having a spiritual awakening. I went to Sharm el-Sheikh, and I went to Mount Sinai, and I was at the Red Sea. I realized I had a VIP seat to which to observe looting and corruption on a grand scale. What I had witnessed was not just undue enrichment or influence, as stated in the public protector's terms of reference. It was blatant corruption that ran into the millions of rand. Trillian was an extension of the Guptas, and I was part of that, and I had information. What should I do? I asked myself, who am I? I have no influence. I'm not an ANC card-carrying member. I'm not from royalty. I'm, like Moses asked, who am I that I financially recover? But then also, I was also helped by the chairman of MTN. I mean, my contract was for 6 months. I ended up there being 2 years. But then during COVID, I decided just before COVID, I did my first interview at Daily Maverick in Cape Town. Susan Comrie of Amabungani was interviewing me. And I told her I want to write a book about my experience. This was now a product of me in January 2020, sipping Chardonnay on a Sunday afternoon, asking God. Everybody's looking at the last decade. For me, it was hellish. It was character building. I will never be the same. What was it for? And he says, it was to show people the strength of the human spirit. It is to show people that evil will never triumph over light. There's a famous saying, the only thing necessary for evil to prevail is when good men or women to do nothing. And I had a choice to do nothing, and I decided not to do nothing. So this is my last quote. But I would, right. Where is that part? Okay, those were the books, guys. Show them, page 200. And this is my closing remarks, I promise. I wrote this book to tell my story, to reveal the effects of state capture on ordinary people, to draw attention to the role of the whistleblower and the danger and devastation we feel. I want to empower and encourage anyone who is going through what feels like an insurmountable challenge. Whether it's illness, a divorce, a death, or something entirely different. Know that the human spirit is resilient. My own spirit withstood betrayal and fear and criminal charges and near bankruptcy. There were times when I prayed for death and peace, times when I could have cracked, when I thought I would, but I didn't. I kept my faith, and I made it through. I fought hard and refused to let them take my mental and physical health from me. If you have faith and you stay on your course, you will triumph. Thank you very much.